Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Blind Boys Politics. And how's it going tonight, Chris?
I'm pretty good.
That's always a plus.
Something really interesting happened to me this afternoon, Nick, that's not interesting at all. I have a full-out couch bed doohickey in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? I have some time. I'm going to clean it. You would have thought I haven't cleaned it in 10 years.
Well,
I pulled it out, and in the little grooves, there was food, crumbs. It was disgusting.
Well, you've had the day from hell, it seems. You had your power go out. You just had problem after problem today.
And surprisingly, I've kept a level head.
No broken windows, no broken walls. Giant explosions.
I can't confirm broken body parts because my knee does hurt. But besides that, we're doing pretty good. And I did discover cleaning the couch that I obviously eat too much popcorn during the debates because there was a lot of popcorn crumbs in the little thing. But perfect timing. Nick, I got my popcorn right here, so let's just talk about the debate.
Yeah, we've got some, things to talk about. Might as well recap it like we promised. So let's get right into it, shall we?
So we're not talking about me cleaning the couch.
No. No more of that.
Should we start another podcast about me cleaning things?
Chris's cleaning corner.
Semi-meditating, relaxing sounds won't be that relaxing because when he finds something dirty, he will scream. But besides that, calm.
The idea is we come up
with. If you don't know this about me, I have extreme OCD about certain things, though.
Right.
My house has to be. It doesn't need to be spotless, but it needs to be in some sort of an organization. But then there's other things I'm like, who cares?
Well, watch out, guys, for Chris's cleaning corner, because that might be coming to a theater near you.
But in a theater right now, we have the final second presidential debate recap.
Exciting. So let's jump right in. So we'll start with just how the whole thing worked. So we had 6 15-minute segments this time around. And, of course, as usual in the previous 2 debates, each candidate got 2 minutes, 2 initial minutes to respond to the question being asked. And it's not all. So, of course, we had, some problems in the first debate, the first presidential debate, with people interrupting, with the candidates interrupting each other, got into some screaming matches. In fact, let's play a little clip of what happened during the first debate, just to have a bit of a flashback here.
That's the end of the segment. We're moving on.
It didn't take them.
Well, Vice President, no.
Can I be honest? It's a very important
Try to
question.
be honest.
He stood up.
No, the answer to the question is no.
Ukraine.
No, sir.
With $1 billion, if you
that is absolutely
you know what,
you're
not
true.
You're doing it.
You're going to have
tape.
True, gentlemen.
So that the madness that happened, the Commission of Presidential Debates decided during the 2 minutes of speaking, they're going to mute the other candidate that's not speaking. And then when their 2 minutes is up, they get muted. And then the 11 minutes that's left, they were unmuted.
Right.
And let me tell you, shockingly, there was no blow-ups right. There was no blow-ups at all.
No, there really weren't. Honestly, it flowed a lot more smoothly than you might have imagined at first. Going into it, the whole thing ran pretty nicely.
And I have a question for you. I was kind of concerned about the mic thing. I was wondering if it was going to be a big disturbance thing. But honestly, I only noticed the mic muting thing once. What about you?
Yeah, there was only one time where I noticed it, and it was when Trump was speaking. Um, but other than that, it was just one of those things where you got cut off as he was finishing a sentence. But other than that, it didn't really seem to be a problem. Things seemed to be really smooth overall. Of course, we did have a couple of times, when both mics were unmuted where things started to get a tiny bit heated. But overall, I mean, it
Their
flowed
voices
so
got
much better.
raised, but they weren't talking over each other.
Not often. There was
I
like
don't.
maybe one or two points, one or two times where it happened, but honestly, it didn't
I don't
last
think
long.
so,
And
because if one started talking, the other one kind of shut up right away.
usually, like I said, there was only I think one time where it happened, but it didn't even last long. It lasted probably 30 seconds. But 30 seconds out of 90 minutes, that's not bad at all.
So the topics that were discussed was COVID-19 response, American families, race in America, climate change, national security, and leadership. So, there was those main 6 topics that was discussed, but I feel like the major ones that were like they spent the most time on, most going back and forth, which it was the 11 minutes that each segment was supposed to be, but there was a lot more back and forth conversational debate, I believe, in the COVID response, race in America, and leadership.
No, I definitely agree. Those seemed to get a lot of attention from both candidates. A lot was said. Um, I think that's where a lot of like the heatedness came from when it did start to get a little bit heated.
And it wasn't really that bad. There was the occasional raise the voice, but like we said, it was an actual debate. It was an actual debate. It was like the 2001 that we compared, way back in an earlier episode, comparing the two debates. It was just like that. It was a debate. They talked, went back and forth. It was an actual debate. No rudeness, no. It was not a September 29th flashback.
Right.
Whatsoever.
September 29th, especially with that clip that we showed a little while ago, it felt at times like they were just ready to rip each other's throats out. And, obviously, with the raised voices that we saw a couple of times during this debate, you still kind of got that same feeling, but instead it was a lot easier to calm it down because there were so much fewer interruptions, and um, overall they just conducted themselves in a much better manner than they did back in the first debate.
Well, that can also be credited to the moderator, Kristen Welker. She is an NBC Weekend Today co-anchor and also the White House correspondent.
Yeah, she was very fair to both sides. She tried her best to give both sides time to respond if they asked for it, even stretching past like the time that they were really supposed to give to each segment and to each question. She, if Trump responded for 10 seconds, then she tried her best to give Biden 10 seconds to respond after that if he had something to say. Overall, she just did the best that she could and just really contributed to that smoothness that we saw.
A lot of people were worried about was she going to play favorites to one side or the other, and she really didn't do that. So, it was just a very well-run debate. We kind of touched on it, but real quickly, it was a total opposite debate from September 29th to October 22nd. It was almost like two different people. They treated it like a debate, like it was supposed to be. They talked a lot more about what their policies would be. There was no screaming whatsoever. Very minimum interruptions, if any. The moderator was very fair. It was just a very good debate.
Right. And as we said before, touch on it just one last time, the mic muting wasn't really noticeable. Except for the one time where Trump got cut off. Other than that, I didn't notice it at all. Really, it just ran very smoothly. Again, I keep saying the same thing over again. I feel like a broken record already. But things felt very, very smooth. They felt very well run. And it just felt like the two candidates conducted themselves way better than the first time around. I know personally, I feel a lot more informed and I feel a lot more settled on who I support than I did back in September when the first debate happened.
Right. And you certainly did hear, like, COVID was a big one. You heard a lot of opinions on that. One of the big takeaways, because COVID is the topic, so we'll touch on that really quickly. Trump said he shut down the country at the right time. He did what he was supposed to do. He wants the country to reopen. Biden doesn't. Education, he said he's opening schools. It takes time for these things. He wants to open schools. Biden was saying that he did a terrible job. He didn't do what he was supposed to do. He keeps saying that the Democrats want the country closed, but we're the ones trying to open it. If I was president, I would be providing these schools funding that they need, because he's saying it costs them a lot more money than what it should have been. So that was like the big COVID thing.
Yeah, and one big thing that a lot of news reporters were talking about, and news networks specifically, I saw it posted by CNN online, how the two big statements from the COVID section were, like, Trump said that we're learning to live with it. Biden said that we're learning to die with it. So it's polar opposites in the argument on that.
And very powerful statements from both about the issue.
Yeah, agreed.
But that is it for final debate. There was only two, supposed to be three, but we all know what happened there. But we'll see you Monday morning. Until then, have a good one.
See you guys.